Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran. Patch 8.3 just dropped and you're trying to figure out what to do. Patch 8.3 got a lot of content in it and it can definitely be overwhelming. So hopefully this video helps you guys streamline your Patch 8.3 experience with the idea that you're trying to be as efficient on, let's say, a main character, trying to get through some of the most relevant content as soon as possible, and what are some of the first things you should start with in order to catch up with everybody else. We are going to be making this video with the assumption that you have a 120 character that is ready to go. That means you have your essences, you have your Heart of Azeroth. You don't have to be perfectly statted or geared. But with every new patch, it's a perfect opportunity to start at the starting line with everybody else. So what are some of the things you should do that everybody else that's trying to play this patch in a very serious way, what are some of the things that you should get into? The first thing first, get your story done. There's going to be a main quest introduction with Rathian, starting up the story and what will be the patch 8.3. It's quite a good story, at least I enjoyed it, and I'm not really someone who does a lot of story stuff. And it's quite long too, so really have yourself a little bit extra time to finish it. Of course, if you skip through a lot of the cutscenes, I think you'll get through it very quickly. This story will also have skips for alts, so if you want to come back and get the story stuff done, you can enjoy it on your main and then skip through majority of it on your alts. At the end of this main storyline, you will earn your legendary cloak. The patch 8.3 is going to be played with the premise that everybody has this legendary cloak. It'll be an item with a massive item level increase off the bat, and this will be the item that you'll continue to progress and increase the value of as the patch goes on. It'll be, in a sense, a catch-up mechanism for you to get to the same power level as some of the other players might be. The next thing you will do is get your assaults done. Now, assaults should be introduced to you through the story quests of the original main story. So you should get to understand how assaults work, as the game will introduce you what to do and what needs to be done. But get into the assaults and focus on finishing objectives. When you get your first assault done, you'll get yourself a high item level piece of gear with a guaranteed corruption on it. Corruptions are going to be huge for character progression, so if you're trying to get that competitive edge ahead of everybody, getting the piece of gear is going to be priority. While you are experiencing your very first assault, you can do side things, and all the activities in the assaults work towards completing the assault. So you can do these things inside of assault to get kind of two birds with one stone situation knocked out of the way. Killing rares will give you ability to get mounts, pets, as well as catch-up gear for any of the alt characters you might want to play. This will be the catch-up gear that will have a 410 item level and will have mail, cloth, leather, and plate pieces. They'll come as tokens, so make sure to store up a bunch of those, especially if you're going to be doing these assaults on multiple characters. Inside of assaults, you can also just start killing as many mobs as possible. For assaults, you can either kill rares or do different objectives, or you can just mob grind. If you want to stop mob grinding off the bat in order to get your professions working on, you can do so as well. Mobs within assaults are going to be the best way for you to get some of the profession items you need if you want to kickstart certain professions. So if professions are a focus for you, start killing mobs. The mobs will drop you a recipe for an item called Void Focus, and you continue after getting the recipe farming mobs until you get the required items, which are going to be fragments of this focus. Once you get the focus, you'll get yourself a quest line in order to turn into Rathian, which will let you start crafting normal crafting gear, which leads you into the quest for heroic crafting gear, and eventually a quest for mythic crafting gear. While you're inside of assaults, before you finish them, you should definitely dive into a mini vision. Visions are going to be part of a bigger content in this new patch. Horrific visions as well as normal visions are going to be the two that you'll be experiencing. The first vision you'll be going into is a vision inside of an assault point. That means it's going to be like a mock-up practice vision, which are coined as term as mini visions. It's going to be a easier version of one of the visions that you'll be diving into. Visions is going to be a piece of content where you have a certain amount of bar of sanity, and being attacked by enemies and taking damage from other abilities reduces your sanity. Also, your sanity goes down passively over time, meaning you can't stay in the vision forever. However, killing rares, killing mobs, and helping out allies and using items inside of those visions that you loot from dead enemies will let you stay in the vision longer. Well, sometimes even buff you on damage, and they have a little bit of chance of randomness to the different buffs and debuffs that you may get. So dive into a mini vision that will be available in the assault and do that as soon as possible. This will take a bigger step forward towards horrific visions. Horrific Visions is going to be another piece of content that you can access to from your Heart of Azeroth. It'll be a mage tower-like experience between 1 to 5 people. It's quite challenging, but there's plenty of rewards. Anything from being able to upgrade your cloak, which you can do on a weekly basis from the Horrific Visions if you're someone who doesn't raid, but you can also get gear if you end up advancing further inside of the vision. The higher the difficulty of the vision, the more you do inside of it, the better the rewards will be. So essentially, a player could solo these visions at the highest difficulty and collect a bunch of 470 item level gear. However, the difficulty curve is pretty high. Getting into a vision as soon as possible will allow you to start upgrading your cloak early, but also unlocking other rewards, such as cosmetics or sockets that you'll eventually be able to put into your end game gear. Afterwards, it is time for all the basic bits of content, but I feel like I should still cover it. AP farming is back on the table, so you should start farming AP, whether you do islands, emissaries, or world quest. Blizzard is offsetting a lot of the AP grind instead of the necklace towards the cloak. So majority of the weekly basis content to catch up with everybody in power levels will be done mostly through your legendary cloak. However, AP neck levels are still going to be mandatory and necessary as we get an extra essence passive to unlock into our necklace. So getting it to 75 is going to be your goal at the very beginning. So start farming AP early so you have to do less of that towards the end of the expansion. You also should check up if there is a Warfront available, particularly Heroic Warfront for Darkshore, which will be coming with a patch 8.3. There's a good chance that it will be available for Alliance, at least on NA servers, before it is available for the Horde. So if you are Horde or Alliance, you might need to wait a little bit longer, but check to see if the Heroic Warfront is available. There's a good chance that Blizzard might offset the Heroic Warfront until Season 4 begins. And once you're done with everything else, if there's anything else on the table for you to do, there's always BGs, Arenas, and Mythic Plus. However, being in the off season, you don't really get nearly as good of loot. So you can either spend some time doing some keys or BGs if you want to just do something casually, or if you want to grind out gear. I would say Mythic Pluses will still be the way to go. Mythic Pluses will still be in the off-season weird meta, but the gear that will still continue to drop at a 10 or higher. So grinding out Mythic Pluses could still be a viable way to catch up on raw loot. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Good luck in patch 8.3, and I'll see all of you guys in another video.